And the story begins back in 2012. It was a February morning. I was doing graveyard shift at the treatment center here in Fort Duchesne. And I was coming in about maybe 6 o'clock in the morning from outside, doing outside check. And the power went out. So I was like, okay, power outage. Do head count for the guys and the girls that were in the center at the time. And I was talking to the male or female house manager at the time. And was talking and got up to go check, and we saw lights outside. So we thought, oh, okay, maybe someone ran into one of the power poles outside, took out our power. So I was like, all right, cool. So went outside to go check to see where the officers were sitting at. Maybe they're across the road. And come to find out, the lights weren't coming from the side of the building to the road. They were coming on top of the building. So I was like, what's going on, so, and then one of the female clients was up with us at the time, and I remember the female house manager saying, hey, go check it out, go see what's on top of the, building there. So me and the female client, we walked back out there on the north part of the building to go check and see, where the lights were coming from on top. And as far as we got back further towards the basketball goal there, we saw these lights coming from a ship, I'd say a UFO ship, a spaceship, and kind of just took us by surprise, and we were just kind of like, just really surprised, and it didn't seem real. I guess you could use the word surreal, because it's just like, you don't see something like that.
This is Ivan Ivanov, and you are watching UFO Disclosure Bulgaria. We have the documents. We have the witnesses. True stories about UFOs, visitors from outer space, and other worlds.
And then I was looking at her, and I looked at that, and I was like, that's a UFO. And I was like, I kind of swore, and I was like, that's a fucking UFO. Oh man, the size of the diameter, I'm thinking maybe, because the building was like maybe 20 feet from the ground to the floor, or to the top of the building. And so this is the building right here. The UFO was just sitting above it right here. So it was pretty close to see something like that. And then like the front of it, it was just like, it had a cloud around it, and then the hull or the ship part, it was like a blackish gray. And then you could see the lights kind of like on the side, and then this big light that shined down on us. And it was red. It was just a red, bright light. It was really bright. I think it was, from where I could see, like maybe this is the side of the building, this is the roof, maybe like this part was poking out. Like I could see like a part of the ship right here, and then like the part of the ship right here was on top of the roof, like kind of, because it started slowly backwards towards the south, from north to south. And so we was looking at that, and I'd say probably the size probably is like 30 feet, maybe, because if it was round, from where I could tell, the part was round, and if it was a round ship, then it was probably about 30 feet all the way around. And it was pretty crazy to see something like that. It was 6 o'clock on a Sunday. Everybody's sleeping because, they have 6 p.m. 6 p.m. I remember the nanny coming on and watching the beginning credits of that nanny, that TV show. And then the TV doing this weird glitchy thing, pixel thing. And it like kind of did a double, like, I don't know, it looked weird the way the TV did it. And I was like, oh man. And I was joking around to my coworker and a female client, and I was like, "Oh man, the aliens are messing up my TV show." And then the power went off, and so I was like, "Oh!" So we got up, to go do a check on the guys, make sure they're okay. The guy clients, because I think we had just a female client on the side, and she was already up with us. So, and then as I got up to get the flashlight out of the office, there was lights outside. So I was like, okay, someone got in an accident, went off the road because it was snowing. It was pretty thick with fog and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe someone ran off the road, hit our pole or power, and that's what it is. So, and you see the red, blue, and green lights, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd. So me and the female client and the female house manager walked to the door in the back where there's a glass door. And we're looking outside, and I was like, all right, so there's lights, and then I don't see a cop or anything. Maybe it's on the side of the building. Then we're sitting there, open the door, and we kind of step out.
So you saw this blue lights in the ground?
The blue and red
from
and
the
green.
cop's car.
It kind of looked like, I thought it was a cop's car.
Yeah.
And then that's what, I thought maybe someone wrecked and, took out our power. And so we opened the door, and we stepped out, and the lights weren't coming from the side, they were coming up on top. Yeah, we kind of looked up like, why is there lights up on top of our building? What the heck, So the female house manager stayed inside, and she didn't want to come out. So, and we were like, all right. So me and the female client walked out. We started walking out.
How old she was?
I don't remember how old she was. Maybe in her mid-20s, early 20s, mid-20s, something like that, in between that time. And then we walked out, and so we was looking to see where the lights were coming. And then you could barely see whatever it was on top there, that ship, I guess. And so we kind of stepped back, kind of walked backwards just to get a better look at it.
Yeah.
And then you could see where that ship was, like right there above. And I was like, oh man, and then I don't know, it was crazy because it looked like it had a cloud formation around it, like it was cloaking itself in a cloud. But you could see that ship part in front, and then the lights coming off from it.
So some parts of the craft you can see.
Yeah, some parts
and some of the parts of the craft was colored kind of like a cloud.
Like a cloud, yeah. Like it was forming a cloud, or it was, I don't know how to say, if they were making its own cloud to cloak itself.
In the sky, white cloud?
Yeah, like
or different color?
Like a cloud in the sky.
Okay.
Like if it's, I don't know, like it's kind of hard to explain, because to me it looked like it had a cloud cloaking itself with it, just like, I don't know, just like you couldn't see it if it was there. Like if you look up, saw clouds and said, okay, clouds, but it was like weird because you could see the ship from out of that cloud, the lights coming down, and then right as we stepped out to where we could see it, then a bright red light came on, and it was just so bright that
where?
From the ship.
From the whole craft, or from some part?
From the bottom part of the craft.
Okay.
Like, because the lights were around it, and you could see it, and it was flashing, and I was like, oh man. And then this bright light, kind of like the one you showed me, like how the bright that one was. Okay. But it was a red light, and everything was so red, and you could just see.
So it's not a white, it's red.
No, it was red.
Okay.
Yeah, not white. And
but
then
bright red.
It was bright red, kind of like if you had someone with a flashlight, okay, that was a pretty bright light, and they put it on your hand, and you could see the inside of your skull, your skeleton, like your skeletal and stuff like that, and then you put it up to your face like this. That's how it looked coming down, but just bright red, really bright red. So I was going like this, and I was looking up to see, and you could see the black grayish part of that.
You saw the bones of your hand?
Yeah, I saw the bones of my hands when I did that, because I was like this, and it was just, everything was lit up red, and I could see, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy to see. But I was kind of like looking like this to see it, and I kind of like looked, and I was like, that's a UFO. And then I remember looking like this. I looked at her, then I looked up, and I was like, that's a fucking UFO. And I kind of like got excited, but then I got scared. I got chills, and I was like.
So you have two impressions at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You was worried, Or
I was
scared, because scared is more powerful than
I was
worried.
excited.
Excited.
I was
yeah.
really excited,
Yeah.
but then I was like scared because
You don't
I
know what is it.
don't know what I should be looking at, or traditionally.
What will happen.
Traditionally, we're not supposed to bother with things like that. We're not supposed to interact, or I don't know if we're supposed to see things, or something like that. And seeing something like that in my lifetime, I never thought I'd see something like that. Someone that close, being that close, and watching movies of people seeing something like that and being abducted.
Oh.
And I think that's what I kind of thought.
So you was afraid that maybe you'll be
Yeah, I thought maybe we might get abducted at the time, and kind of just emotions were going through me. And then I remember sitting there watching it for a bit. I don't know how long. It seemed like it was only like a minute or so for us to be out there. But when I looked back at the clock inside the office, half an hour passed by. There might have been some time that was,
losing time.
yeah, that skipped forward, but it didn't seem like it. It didn't.
You mean
To us, it seemed like time slowed down.
when you watch it?
No, we're watching it standing out there. But when
You think it was longer?
It might have been longer, but I wasn't.
And when you check the watch?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about time and that, because everybody goes, well, how come you didn't get your phone to take a picture? And see, at the time before everything happened, my phone was dying down. So, and then the female house manager was there, and she goes, "What is it? What is it? What do you see?" I said, "You're not going to believe what we just saw." And she's like, "What? And I said, "It's a UFO." She goes, "Oh, what?" And I said, "It's a UFO, a ship, something floating above the building. I can't identify it." And she goes, "What?" And she was kind of like in shock too. Like,
when you say that, you was very excited.
yeah, I was like, because a UFO. I've never seen a UFO.
Yeah.
I've watched movies. I've seen lights from a distance afar. Nothing like as close. Yeah, nothing as close like that. And that kind of was like, oh man. So my adrenaline was going. The female client was in shock, and then the female manager was like, just kind of like, oh man, what's going on? What did you guys see? What did you guys see? Kind of like just questions and stuff. I said, let's go back in, shut the door. And so she did, and we shut the door. And then at that time, she must have been looking outside, the female house manager. And she goes, hey, it's moving. Because I guess she saw the lights and then the shadow, and it started going like this. So as I turned around to see, then this big old flash of light just came on. Like like the sun came up, and it was just so bright outside.
Like a day?
Mm-hmm. And you could see the pole, you could see the snow, you could see up on the hill. And I was like, holy crap. And then like that, it was off. Everything just turned off. And it was dark.
And what time was?
And after that happened, I went inside to grab the flashlight. And then I remember looking at the time, because I have to log things down. And I think it was about close to 6:45 or 7, somewhere in that time. And so I'm thinking like maybe half an hour to 45 minutes had passed from the time that all happened. And then so I wrote it down, this is what happened, this is what we saw, this is what was going on. I'm going to do a check on the guys and make sure they're okay. So as I did my rounds to the guys' bedrooms in the back, because it has a guy's wing, a women's wing, I went in there, and flashlight is looking around and say, hey, are you guys okay? Some of them were kind of getting up. Some of them were laying in bed and heard the commotion, but they seen the lights inside.
Through the window. But their windows are tinted on the outside, so where they can see on the outside, but nothing can see inside. But it was so bright, they said that they thought it was cop lights. And they said, why is the cops outside? We saw the lights. And, some of them were up, some of them were sleeping. And I counted the guys that were there. And I told the ones, I said, well, if you're up, just come up to the front living room. The lights are off, but, just kind of make your way through if you want to. They go, oh, okay. So, and then when they got into the front, we kind of told them what was going on, what we saw. And, and they're kind of like, what? What'd you guys see?
And we told them, like, they couldn't believe it either. And he goes, no, we saw cop lights outside. I said, yeah, it wasn't a cop. It wasn't police lights or anything like that. And they're all, oh, man. So, and they kind of wrapping their head around it, trying to, like, well, are these guys for real? Like, or did they see that? And they're asking the female client, you know, what she saw. And she was just kind of like, you know, we saw this, and trying to explain it to him. And then after, I think it was like 7:30, you know, it's getting all my information down, logging it down, and trying to call out. My cell phone wouldn't work. And then I guess I forgot we had a male client, a male house manager that was in the bathroom at the time, and the lights went off, and he was in the bathroom. So, and then when I did a check on him, and I was like, hey, you okay? He goes, yeah, what's going on? And I said, man, there's some crazy stuff. I said, come, when you get done, I'm going to give you the flashlight. Just come to the front, and then I'll explain it to you. He goes, my phone went off, and I was on it, and I was talking, and it went off. And I was like, yeah, I said, just come up front, and I'll tell you. And so he came up front, and I said, oh, so what happened to your phone? He goes, I was talking, and I was looking at it, and then it turned off. And I said, oh. He goes, that's when the power turned off. So he said, I was in here that whole time. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that you were in there. And he goes, oh, it's all right. But yeah, what happened? So I told him what happened. And he goes, he kind of didn't wrap his head around it too. Like, what? No way. And I said, yeah. He goes, man. He goes, yeah, I could feel something like a vibration. And I said, I don't know what that could have been. I said, because at the time I didn't really understand that. I guess where I found out later that some of the other people across the mesa, their houses were floated across with that UFO. It was low towards their house.
Which state that's happening? Arizona?
Huh?
Where is happening this?
Same time?
No, where?
Where? In Fort Duchesne.
Oh.
Where I work at?
Because
where I used to work at.
And I'm thinking
Yeah.
for Arizona.
No. They call them mesas, though. When the houses, it's called La Mesa.
Okay.
And there's a community of houses there. Okay. But what I was told later after, like maybe a couple of days, is that there was 2 UFOs in the area. And I was like, really? And I guess there was one over our building at the time. And there was another one that was across the mesa. And it was like how the house here, it was above their houses, that they could feel a humming. They could hear a humming, and they could feel a vibration.
In Fort Duchesne
area. In the same area where I was working, the same time I was working.
And this lady, do you know if she still lives there?
Yeah, they still live there. One is my uncle. His name is Kenny McCook. And the other one is...
No, I mean this lady, the young lady, 20 years old.
I see her every now and then when she comes into the tribal office.
But she's a native, or?
Yeah, she's a native. And I haven't seen her recently, since last year. But usually when she comes in to pick up her per cap and that, so... But I haven't seen her recently, so I don't know. Maybe she might have moved to Salt Lake, or, you know, moved out of the area, or yeah. I always ask her about that, and I always tease her. I said, so have you seen strange lights or seen something in the sky yet? And she goes, no, and she laughs about it. And I always say, remember that time we saw that? And she goes, yeah, that was so crazy. That was weird. And she goes, I haven't seen anything like that after. But it's just been a strange, you know, that event just kind of made us bond together like that. So have they, they're just stories that they told me that they had seen lights in the sky. Nothing close to like I seen, but where they see something out of the ordinary when they were younger. They didn't really talk about it as much. Like I said, growing up, cultural-wise, you don't talk about it, you don't say things, or you don't, you know, you see something, you don't mention it, or maybe you do to a family member, but that's about it. But, you know, now it's just like my grandma and my grandpa say, oh, you know, when we were young, we saw lights in the sky, and it did this, you know, floated over here, and it took off, disappeared. I'm like, oh, cool, right on. So, but, you know, I've never really paid attention until my incident in 2012. Then it captured my attention, And I was like, man, you know, there are things out there.
Since then, you still seeing stuff?
Every once in a while, I'll see something, but it will be, you know, up in the sky. You know, I always go outside every once in a while because I work daytime, so I don't really work at night as I used to anymore. But at times I'll go outside, maybe about 11, 12, midnight. I'll look up just to see a glance of whatever's floating around up there. But with the lights here, I have to kind of cover them to see up there because the light kind of reflects, so I can't really see the stars and stuff. But there's a place here, if you go out towards Baser, and it goes up on top of the hill, the road, before you get into a point, there's a higher point on the hill where you can sit and watch and stargaze. And it shows everything, the Milky Way, the moon, the stars, a lot better. It's really a lot better. But recently I've heard stories about lights in the sky coming from west to east. And I guess there was a group of lights lined up. And I guess what they were saying, it was a satellite link. And that's what it was, is like kind of, because everybody kind of, oh man, I saw lights. They're all in a row and they're going this way. And I guess what it is someone said that it was a satellite link. And I guess that's what it is in some of the papers that came true is what it was. But then I've also had people do videos and pictures of a light in the sky and it disappear, you know, so it'd come down, it'd be bright, and then it'd disappear. And then that'd be it. And I think one of my buddies ended up having one of those on his, and he was showing me that before. And I was like, that's cool. Here is this. I was going to show you this picture. This is the one taken a week after the 2012 incident. And my coworker that was with me, she took the picture a week ago after, and she said that she thought it was a star, but she said it was closer than usual. But she said to her it looked like a portal that opened up. This is the normal picture of what she took of.
Oh, she's zooming it?
Yeah, that's what she took of her phone. This is her phone picture, original.
Yeah.
And then this is it when it is zoomed in. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that
wasn't very high.
The what?
Very high in the sky.
Yeah. Just when she was looking from where our building sits, from the northeast, southwest part of the building, she was looking towards the lake side. And she saw that. And so she said she took a picture of that like that. And so she zoomed in with her camera on her phone. And she said she took another picture of that. And to her, she said it looked like a portal opened up and someone was looking out of it. And it freaked her out. And she took a picture.
She has the impression that someone watching her.
Yeah, someone might have been watching her or watching the area there. Uh-huh. And so she hurried up, took a picture, and took off back inside the building for work. And then by the time I got to work, then she was telling me about it. And I was like, really? So I went outside to go see what she saw, but it was whatever it was, it's gone. Crazy. That's a good picture, though. And I told her that. I said, you got a really good shot.
Picture, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she said this is the same one that she saw floating over too. The same, like before and after. Oh, my cat's scratching at the door.
Yeah.
I know it's on slow motion, and I think that's how he recorded it when he first started going on it. So, because he wanted to capture that.
Where is that happening?
This is at the Ute Tribal Office, the Northern Ute Tribal Office. It's where I work, and these are one of the cameras that I was looking at, because you know some of the employees leave at 4:30, and then there was a couple of ladies there that were talking at the time, because we go through and turn off the lights right there. There's an orb.
Yeah.
See, it goes all the way up there, then over to that way.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they were talking at the time when I was taking this, and I was just watching them to see who it was, and then just I was going to switch over to another camera to check our halls and stuff in that, because we have it through the offices. And then it just kind of, okay, it stopped. Why did you stop? Okay, so it's speeding up there. Huh.
Did they feel something during the 7th? I mean, when the orb passed?
Myself, no. I just happened to see it at the time when I was doing the looking around on the cameras.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, there's an orb. How cool. And then I went back and, you know, I was at my camera, my station up there, and I went back to do a replay just to make sure. And then I was like looking at it, and I was like, all right, yeah, there is a orb floating by, and I paused it, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So I went over, I called down to the IT and told them, hey, can you guys, you know, do a copy for me on a camera? I said, I think I captured an orb, and if you would, can you guys do a recording?
Yeah.
So they said they would, and they did, and then they just gave me this disc and that. There are other parts in the building when it's people are leaving, so we turn off the lights, and so there's activity of orbs just floating around, and you can see it. Recently there was one,
eye?
yeah, on the camera, the naked eye looking in like this.
But not in life.
No, not in real life.
Okay.
But on the cameras, for some reason, it always shows on the camera, and it's weird. And
It's normal.
yeah, in real life, I mean, you're lucky to catch that, because like it says, this could have been a second ago, 2 seconds just of an orb floating by, and you wouldn't be able to see it until you're really paying attention. But I was just, you know, lucky enough to come along to this and see that.
Yeah.
So I'll play it again.
Okay.
Then there was usually a couple of them that I seen going up this way or on this side. I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked at this video, but I noticed the one that came up and shot over, and that was the bigger one. But I don't know if you pay attention to, like, I know it was on this side mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Let's see if it plays it again. Because it pauses it right there. For some reason it stopped. I think the IT guys were kind of paused on that second. And then they're recording it like that. But in another part of the video, and I'm not sure if it's on this one, but they had to where they saw 2 more orbs, and they were floating up in this area. And we're like, there's no ductwork there. There's nothing like air conditioner wise or vents or anything.
Yeah.
And there's like no open area where windows or anything can come float through. There's no bugs in the building or anything like that. Maybe spiders, but you would see the webs, because I've seen it on cameras where webs and stuff like that would be. But with this one, it was different. And I saw that orb and that fly over.
Oh yeah.
Right in the corner.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
In a second. Another.
It's right here in this area.
Yeah. And one more.
Right there. And then another one right there.
Yeah.
See, and that's the one that, yeah, because I don't know what was going on the first time when the video was playing. Because it's paused and then it kind of just ended real quick. So.
Right.
But yeah, those were the ones, the 2 that were after. And then I was like, usually with activity like that, and I know some of the tribal members that work there, some of the older ones, and I'm not sure if there's had been a couple that had passed away in the building. And then usually they say it might be the old co-worker returning to where they had worked at before, and they're just kind of like in that limbo area. And I think that it shows that they might still be, you know, thinking you're at work doing stuff like that. And, you know, I've heard people explain that to me before. And working there recently, there was a manifestation of an orb in one of the lower level building floors. And it was a big orb, just like that first one there. But it kind of manifested into a little kid. And it was just like the part of the head and the shoulder. And I was standing by a chair. And it disappeared. Like
The same building?
Yeah, same building. And I was kind of like, whoa, you know, did I see that? And so I went back to play it. And it did show where that orb was coming from in that area by the chair. And it just showed again of that manifestation. Like I said, it's, you know, a couple of seconds, you know, see orbs floating and then manifest like that, then disappear. And I'm like, man, okay. So I didn't say anything to anybody during that time until my co-worker, because, you know, we work at the same area, there's two of us. And I guess the following night she was there, you know, doing checks and stuff, and she was looking at cameras. And she said she was walking in to that same area, that room, and it was dark and stuff. But she saw it with her eye. And I said, oh, okay. So I was listening to her, okay?
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, I was walking in, and I was doing a check, and I seen this orb. And it was about the same place where I saw my orb. And I was just listening to her, and she goes, yeah, it just came towards me like by the file cabinet, and it like just manifested into this little kid, and it started walking and it disappeared. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. And she goes, why? What's going on? And I said, I don't want to say anything to anybody because, you know, I thought maybe they think I, you know,
Crazy.
see something odd, but they know there's something there. Yeah. But I go, not too long ago on the camera I was looking at in the same area where you were at, and I said on the camera I saw that same thing. And she goes, what? And I said, yeah. And I said I didn't want to say anything because I was just, you know, wanted to play it by ear and see if anybody would say anything first. And I said, and then you told me what you saw when you were walking in that area. That's where I saw the same thing.
Yeah.
And she goes, what, really? And I said, yeah. But she has more of a spiritual connection because she's a Navajo. And so she comes from the south, and they're really spiritual, and they're ceremonial and stuff like that. So, and her upbringing. So, and I guess what she was telling me before when I was first met her coming to work, that she has like a not like a, maybe like a sixth sense, but like a, like it. She knows when something's there and something's off. She can have that sense.